Chosen one, there was a moment when you thought the confusion would never end. A moment when you questioned why certain people kept appearing in your life only to drain your peace, delay your progress, and cloud your vision. But what you did not realize was that heaven was allowing everything to unfold for a reason. God was not ignoring your pain. God was watching every hidden conversation, every secret motive, every fake smile, and every quiet betrayal surrounding you. And right before your breakthrough arrived, the truth about the J-person could no longer stay hidden. The mask began to crack. The energy shifted. What was done in darkness was forced into the light, because your next season required clarity, protection, and separation. Chosen one, the dangerous thing about the J-person was never their words. It was their disguise. They learned how to stand close to you, while secretly competing with you. They learned how to smile in your face, while hoping your prayers would fail. They learned how to act supportive, while quietly fearing what God was about to do in your life. You kept trying to understand why your spirit felt exhausted after certain conversations. You kept trying to ignore the strange tension in your soul whenever they entered the room, but your spirit was sensing something long before your mind accepted it. Discernment was speaking to you before evidence arrived. There are some people who enter your life because they love you, and there are others who enter your life because they are fascinated by the light God placed on you. The J-person could see your potential even when you doubted yourself. They recognized your anointing before you fully stepped into it. That is why their behavior became strange whenever you started growing spiritually. Every time you became stronger, they became more distant. Every time your confidence increased, their energy became colder. Every time doors began opening for you, they suddenly acted uncomfortable around your success. Chosen one, jealousy hides itself in subtle ways. It does not always scream hatred. Sometimes it appears as constant criticism disguised as advice. Sometimes it appears as fake concern meant to plant fear into your spirit. Sometimes it appears as someone minimizing your dreams while pretending to protect you from disappointment. The J-person kept trying to reduce your vision because your destiny reminded them of everything they failed to become. Your growth exposed their inner emptiness. And what hurt the most was realizing that you genuinely cared about them. You defended them when others questioned their character. You gave them loyalty even when your spirit felt unsettled. You tried to see the good in them because your heart naturally searches for light in people. But God had to show you something painful before your breakthrough could happen. Not everybody connected to you is assigned to go where you are going. Some people are seasonal. Some people are tests. Some people are spiritual distractions sent to slow your momentum. And some people are assignments meant to teach you discernment. The J-person was teaching you that proximity does not equal loyalty. Just because someone is close to you does not mean they are connected to your destiny. Sometimes the people sitting nearest to you are secretly praying for your downfall because your breakthrough threatens the false identity they built around themselves. Chosen one, you started noticing the signs little by little. Their compliments felt forced. Their reactions to your victories became delayed. They celebrated strangers louder than they celebrated you. When you were struggling, they seemed energized. But when you started winning, they became silent. That silence revealed more than words ever could. Spiritually mature people understand that energy never lies. The soul can recognize hidden intentions before the eyes fully understand them. God began exposing the J-person through patterns, repeated disappointments, strange betrayals, unexplained distance, contradictions in their stories. The truth kept surfacing in pieces because heaven was slowly opening your eyes. God knew that if the full truth arrived all at once, it would break your heart too deeply. So instead, revelation came layer by layer, conversation by conversation, situation by situation, until eventually you could no longer deny what your spirit had been trying to tell you for so long. Chosen one, the breakthrough waiting for you required separation first. You kept praying for elevation while remaining emotionally tied to people who secretly resented your growth. You kept asking God for new doors while carrying old connections filled with hidden negativity. But heaven cannot pour abundance into an environment contaminated by envy, manipulation, and spiritual sabotage. Before God increases your blessings, He exposes what cannot follow you into the next season. The J person was comfortable with the version of you that doubted yourself. They were comfortable when you stayed small. They were comfortable when you questioned your worth. But the moment you started realizing who you truly are, something shifted inside them. Your awakening became uncomfortable for them because awakened people cannot be controlled easily. Once you began trusting God more deeply, their influence over your emotions started weakening, and they could feel it. Chosen one, there are people who feed themselves emotionally by draining others spiritually. They survive by keeping powerful souls confused, insecure, and emotionally exhausted. That is why your breakthrough required emotional clarity. The enemy knew that if you fully recognized your value, nothing would stop your rise. So distractions were sent close to you wearing familiar faces. The greatest attacks are rarely obvious. They often come disguised as friendship, romance, loyalty, or support. But God sees beyond appearances. God sees intentions. God hears conversations held behind closed doors. God watches what people do when you are absent. And when the time came for your breakthrough to arrive, heaven refused to let hidden enemies remain hidden any longer. The exposure was not punishment. It was protection. Because if certain people remained close to you during your next level, the damage would have become greater. You wondered why connections suddenly collapsed. You wondered why communication became strange. You wondered why certain people disappeared without explanation. But what felt like rejection was actually divine removal. God was cleaning your environment before your elevation. Some souls cannot accompany you into blessed seasons because their energy conflicts with your calling. Chosen one, the J person underestimated how protected you truly are. They assumed their manipulation would remain hidden forever. They assumed you would stay blind to their true nature. But when God places a calling on someone's life, spiritual exposure eventually becomes unavoidable. Truth rises. Darkness loses balance. Hidden motives become visible. And suddenly, the very person who pretended the hardest begins revealing themselves through their own actions. Notice how people expose themselves when they think you are weak. Notice how their masks slip when they believe you are vulnerable. The J person became careless because they assumed your kindness meant blindness. But kindness and discernment are not the same thing. You were evolving spiritually even during your silence. While they were busy studying your weaknesses, God was strengthening your spirit behind the scenes. Chosen one, there is a reason your intuition became louder recently. There is a reason certain conversations now feel heavy. There is a reason your spirit no longer finds peace around people you once trusted completely. Your discernment is sharpening because your destiny requires stronger spiritual boundaries. The version of you entering this next chapter cannot ignore red flags just to keep temporary peace. Sometimes God exposes people by allowing them to reveal themselves naturally. No confrontation, no revenge, no dramatic ending. Just truth unfolding over time until their real character becomes impossible to ignore. And once you see clearly, your soul can never fully return to blindness again. That is why distance became necessary, not because you hated them, but because your peace became more valuable than forced loyalty. Chosen one, your breakthrough was never only about money, success, or opportunities. It was also about freedom, emotional freedom, spiritual freedom, freedom from manipulation, freedom from draining connections, freedom from carrying relationships that secretly weakened your spirit. God is teaching you that protecting your energy is not selfish. It is necessary for survival. The J person thought they could delay your rise by creating confusion around you. But what they failed to understand is that attacks against chosen souls often become the very thing that awakens them fully. The betrayal opened your eyes. The disappointment strengthened your discernment. The pain deepened your relationship with God. And now the same experience that was meant to break you is transforming you into someone spiritually unstoppable. You are no longer begging for acceptance from people who secretly fear your potential. You are no longer shrinking yourself to make others comfortable. You are no longer explaining your vision to people committed to misunderstanding you. God is pulling you out of environments where your light had to fight just to survive. Chosen one. Some people only liked you when you were accessible, wounded, and uncertain. But they become uncomfortable once your confidence returns. They become uncomfortable once your spiritual authority increases. They become uncomfortable once your peace stops depending on their approval. The J person sensed that transformation happening inside you, and it terrified them because awakened souls become difficult to manipulate. There is power in realizing that not every loss is a tragedy. Some losses are divine alignments. Some endings are heaven, creating space for healthier connections, clearer vision, and greater blessings. You kept mourning people God was trying to remove, because your heart was attached to memories, while God was focused on your future. And now you are entering a season where clarity will replace confusion. Discernment will replace emotional blindness. Peace will replace chaos. God is separating you from everything that kept interfering with your spiritual growth. The exposure of the J person was not random. It happened right before your breakthrough, because God needed your focus restored. Your energy could no longer be wasted on fake loyalty, hidden jealousy, and emotionally draining connections. Chosen one, the truth is this breakthrough has been building behind the scenes for longer than you realize. While you were crying, heaven was arranging things. While you were confused, doors were quietly opening. While you felt delayed, God was removing obstacles you could not see. And one of the greatest obstacles was the presence of people who smiled outwardly while resisting your rise internally. The J person wanted access to your energy without truly supporting your destiny. They wanted proximity to your light without honoring your spirit. But God is ending that cycle now. Your spirit is becoming too awake to ignore manipulation, too mature to chase toxic connections, too aligned with purpose to keep carrying relationships built on hidden resentment. Chosen one, the moment you stopped chasing explanations was the moment your healing truly began. You finally realized that not everyone deserves access to your heart simply because they once stood close to you. Some people were only assigned to reveal what still needed strengthening inside your spirit. And the J person revealed one of the greatest lessons of all: never ignore what your soul keeps trying to warn you about. For so long, you kept overriding your intuition because you wanted peace. You wanted harmony. You wanted to believe that love alone could fix every connection. But discernment exists for a reason. God did not give you spiritual sensitivity so you could constantly silence it to protect other people's comfort. He gave it to you for protection. He gave it to you so you could recognize danger before destruction arrived. The J person kept showing subtle signs, but your heart kept making excuses for them. Every strange comment, every hidden insult disguised as humor, every moment where your victories felt unsupported, every time they disappeared during your hardest battles, yet reappeared once things improved. Deep down, your spirit noticed all of it. You simply were not ready to accept what it meant. Chosen one of the hardest truths spiritually awakened people must face is this: some individuals are attracted to your light not because they love it, but because they want to control it. They are fascinated by your strength, your wisdom, your peace, your energy, and your divine favor. Yet instead of being inspired to grow themselves, they secretly try to dim what God placed inside you. That is why certain people become uncomfortable whenever your confidence rises. Your growth reminds them of the darkness they refuse to confront within themselves. The J person was never truly at peace with your destiny. They tolerated your dreams as long as those dreams seemed distant. They tolerated your spiritual growth as long as you still doubted yourself. But once your power began becoming visible, something inside them shifted. Jealousy entered quietly. Competition entered silently. And suddenly the energy between you no longer felt pure. Chosen one. There are people who clap for you publicly, while privately hoping your blessings collapse. And because you operate from a sincere heart, it took time for you to understand this reality. You believed that everyone celebrated with the same honesty you carried inside yourself. But spiritual maturity teaches you that not everyone smiling at you is genuinely happy for you. Some people study chosen souls the way thieves study valuable things. They watch closely. They observe your habits. They analyze your emotions. They pay attention to your weaknesses. Not because they admire you purely, but because your presence activates something unresolved inside them. And the more your destiny becomes visible, the more their hidden frustration grows. That is why the exposure happened before the breakthrough. Because God knew that elevation without discernment would place you in dangerous situations. Imagine entering your greatest season while still emotionally tied to people, secretly hoping you fail. Imagine receiving major blessings while surrounded by individuals carrying envy in their hearts. Your next level required spiritual cleansing first. Chosen one, heaven sometimes delays blessings not because you are unworthy, but because certain people around you are not aligned with where God is taking you. You kept asking why doors were slow to open. Meanwhile, God was watching the energy surrounding your life. Some connections had to break before certain miracles could manifest fully. The J person became exposed because darkness eventually loses control when divine timing arrives. Truth cannot stay buried forever around a chosen soul. God has a way of making hidden intentions reveal themselves naturally. Suddenly inconsistencies appear. Lies begin contradicting themselves. Behavior becomes impossible to ignore. And the same person who once appeared trustworthy starts exposing themselves through repeated patterns. You began noticing how drained you felt after interacting with them. You noticed how your peace disappeared around their energy. You noticed how your mind became clouded after conversations with them. That was not random. Spiritual warfare often operates through emotional confusion. The enemy tries to weaken chosen individuals by surrounding them with draining connections that slowly consume their focus, confidence, and emotional stability. But God interrupted the cycle before it destroyed your momentum. Chosen one, the reason this betrayal hit so deeply is because you truly loved them. Your intentions were pure. You supported them genuinely. You prayed for them sincerely. You gave them loyalty even during moments when they gave you uncertainty. That is why the revelation felt painful, not because you lost someone extraordinary, but because you finally accepted that the connection was never as genuine as you believed. Still, understand this clearly: exposure is mercy. God could have allowed you to continue building your future around people who secretly resented your growth. He could have allowed hidden sabotage to continue unchecked. But your destiny mattered too much. Your calling mattered too much. Your breakthrough mattered too much. Some people cannot ascend with you because their spirit is addicted to dysfunction. They feel safer around broken versions of you. They feel more comfortable when you are doubting yourself, struggling, or emotionally dependent. But once you begin healing, evolving, and standing in divine confidence, they no longer recognize how to relate to you. The J person became unsettled because your awakening removed their access to your weaknesses. You stopped seeking constant validation. You stopped explaining yourself endlessly. You stopped shrinking your light to maintain fake peace. And once your boundaries strengthened spiritually, their influence weakened naturally. Chosen one, boundaries are holy. Not everyone deserves unlimited access to your mind, your emotions, your plans, or your energy. Spiritually mature people understand that access is earned through consistency, honesty, and alignment. The enemy often enters through people who gain emotional access before proving spiritual integrity. And now God is teaching you the difference between genuine support and hidden attachment. Genuine supporters celebrate your growth without jealousy. Genuine supporters feel inspired by your elevation instead of threatened by it. Genuine supporters bring peace into your life rather than confusion. The J person brought emotional instability because their spirit was internally conflicted about your rise. Notice how your life begins improving the moment certain energies leave your environment. Notice how your mind feels lighter once toxic connections fade away. Notice how your confidence returns once manipulative voices disappear. That is not coincidence. Some people carry spiritual heaviness that blocks clarity, drains momentum, and creates unnecessary emotional battles. Chosen one, you were never difficult to love. You were simply surrounded by people incapable of appreciating someone chosen by God. Your spirit operates differently. Your sensitivity is deeper. Your discernment is sharper. Your purpose is larger. And people carrying hidden darkness often react negatively to light they cannot control. The J person tried to make you question yourself because insecure people feel powerful when they can create confusion inside strong souls. They projected their own inner chaos onto you. They subtly attacked your confidence. They made you feel like you were overthinking when your discernment was actually accurate. But now the fog is lifting. Now your spiritual vision is returning. God is restoring your ability to trust yourself again. Chosen one, there is a reason you survived every betrayal meant to destroy you. There is a reason every attempt to weaken you somehow ended up making you wiser instead. The enemy underestimated the power of divine protection surrounding your life. What was meant to delay you ended up preparing you. What was meant to break your spirit ended up sharpening your discernment. The J person played a role in your awakening, whether they realized it or not. Their betrayal forced you to stop ignoring red flags. Their inconsistency forced you to depend on God more deeply. Their hidden jealousy forced you to recognize how valuable your spirit truly is. And now you are entering a season where your circle will become smaller, but far more genuine. You no longer crave crowded rooms filled with fake support. You no longer desire shallow connections built on hidden competition. Your spirit desires authenticity now, peace now, alignment now. God is teaching you that protecting your peace is more important than maintaining appearances. Chosen one, many people misunderstand why spiritually awakened individuals suddenly withdraw from certain environments. They assume arrogance when in reality it is survival. Once your discernment activates fully, your soul can no longer tolerate energy that constantly drains, manipulates, or contaminates your peace. Your nervous system begins rejecting what your spirit recognizes as unsafe. That is why isolation became part of your transformation. God needed to separate your voice from the noise surrounding you. Too many opinions were clouding your intuition. Too many draining conversations were weakening your focus. Too many hidden energies were interfering with your spiritual clarity. So heaven pulled you away from distractions long enough for your soul to heal properly. The J person thought your silence meant weakness. They thought your kindness meant lack of awareness. But while they underestimated you, God was rebuilding you internally. Your confidence was being restored. Your discernment was becoming sharper. Your emotional dependency was breaking. And the version of you emerging now is far stronger than the version they once manipulated. Chosen one. Some people become angry when they lose access to your energy. Not because they truly loved you, but because your presence benefited them emotionally. They relied on your empathy, your support, your patience, your light. Yet they never truly valued the cost of carrying your spirit properly. They consumed your energy while giving very little in return. But God is ending unequal cycles in your life now. No more one-sided loyalty. No more forced connections. No more begging people to value what heaven already blessed. Your breakthrough requires reciprocity. It requires alignment. It requires relationships rooted in honesty instead of hidden agendas. The exposure of the J person was part of God teaching you to stop romanticizing people who repeatedly showed you inconsistency. Chosen one, you have entered a season where actions matter more than words. Anybody can speak support. Anybody can pretend loyalty temporarily. But consistent behavior reveals true character over time. And eventually the J person revealed theirs through repeated patterns they could no longer hide. You kept praying for signs, and God answered through behavior, through energy shifts, through intuition, through repeated disappointments, through uncomfortable realizations. The truth was never absent. Your heart simply needed time to catch up with what your spirit already knew. Now you understand why certain delays happened. God was preventing you from building your future around unstable foundations. Because if the breakthrough had arrived too early, you might have carried the wrong people into your next chapter. You might have confused access with loyalty. You might have mistaken familiarity for alignment. But heaven intervened. Chosen one, your spirit is becoming too valuable to waste on people committed to misunderstanding you. You no longer need to convince anyone of your worth. The right souls will recognize your value naturally. The right connections will not require endless emotional labor just to maintain basic respect. God is shifting you toward people who genuinely celebrate your existence instead of secretly competing with it. And understand this deeply. The exposure was never meant to make you bitter. It was meant to make you wiser. There is a difference. Bitterness closes the heart completely. Wisdom strengthens discernment while keeping the soul aligned with peace. God is not hardening your heart. He is refining your boundaries. Chosen one, the breakthrough approaching your life is connected to your obedience during separation. Every time you chose peace over toxic attachment, you moved closer to alignment. Every time you stopped chasing draining people, you reclaimed spiritual energy. Every time you trusted discernment over emotional attachment, your soul became stronger. That is why things feel different now. Your spirit is no longer willing to settle for fake love, hidden jealousy, or inconsistent loyalty. Your standards have changed spiritually. Your energy has become more protected. And because of that, your next season will carry a level of peace you have never experienced before. The J person thought they were delaying your destiny, but they were actually revealing who truly belongs in your future and who does not. They unknowingly pushed you toward awakening, toward healing, toward stronger discernment, toward deeper dependence on God. And now the same soul that once felt emotionally trapped is becoming spiritually free. Chosen one, freedom changes everything. Once your soul experiences real peace, you stop craving chaotic connections. Once your discernment becomes clear, manipulation loses its power. Once your confidence is restored through God, the opinions of unstable people stop controlling your emotions. And once you finally understand your worth, you stop chasing people who only valued you when you were easier to control. Your breakthrough is approaching because your spirit is finally separating from what no longer aligns with your calling. The emotional chains are breaking, the confusion is fading, the hidden motives are becoming visible, and God is leading you toward a future where your light no longer has to apologize for shining so brightly. Chosen one, the final truth God wanted you to understand is this: every exposure was an answer to a prayer you cried in silence. You asked God for clarity, and He revealed hidden intentions. You asked God for protection, and He removed dangerous connections. You asked God for elevation, and heaven began separating you from people who could not handle your growth. What felt painful in the moment was actually divine mercy unfolding in real time. The J person never imagined that the same soul they underestimated would become unstoppable once fully awakened. They saw your kindness, but mistook it for weakness. They saw your patience, but mistook it for blindness. They saw your forgiveness, but assumed you would tolerate betrayal forever. What they failed to realize is that chosen souls may endure pain for a season, but eventually God opens their eyes completely. And once that spiritual awakening happens, there is no returning to old cycles. You are no longer the version of yourself that ignored red flags just to avoid conflict. You are no longer emotionally attached to people who repeatedly drained your peace. You are no longer seeking validation from those who secretly feared your light. God has rebuilt something powerful inside you: a stronger spirit, a clearer mind, a deeper discernment, a peace that no longer depends on temporary people. Chosen one, this next chapter of your life will feel different because you are different now. Your energy has shifted. Your standards have shifted. Your relationship with God has deepened through every betrayal, every disappointment, every lonely night where you questioned why certain people hurt you despite your genuine heart. Heaven was teaching you that not everyone assigned to your life is assigned to your destiny. Some people were only meant to reveal lessons. Some people were only meant to expose wounds that still needed healing. And some people were removed because your breakthrough required spiritual space. The J person could not go where God is taking you because your next season carries too much favor, too much purpose, and too much divine alignment to remain connected to hidden jealousy and manipulation. God is surrounding you with people who will pour into your spirit instead of draining it. People who celebrate your success sincerely. People who recognize your light without trying to compete with it. People who understand that your blessing does not threaten theirs. And now, chosen one, you are stepping into a season where peace will become your confirmation. No more constant confusion, no more exhausting emotional battles, no more chasing people for honesty, consistency, or basic respect. What belongs to you spiritually will arrive with clarity, alignment, and calmness. God is teaching you that real blessings do not require you to abandon your discernment in order to keep them. The breakthrough is closer than ever because the distractions have finally been exposed. The emotional chains have finally broken. The false masks have finally fallen, and the version of you standing now is wiser, stronger, calmer, and far more spiritually protected than before. Everything the enemy tried to use against you became part of your transformation instead. So keep moving forward, chosen one. Keep trusting the voice God placed inside your spirit. Keep protecting your peace. Keep walking away from anything that disturbs your soul repeatedly. Because the doors opening ahead of you were never meant for the fearful, broken version of you. They were prepared for the awakened version of you. The version that finally understands that losing the wrong people is sometimes the greatest blessing God can give before a breakthrough arrives.